I mean, imagine throwing a party, 50th birthday on the moon. I mean, I'll be there. Just, I'll be entertainment if you want, but, that's something extraordinary.
Transport is full of what we call wicked problems. They're complex, tricky issues like congestion and climate change, and they very rarely have simple solutions. But it's very tempting to look for that shiny new solution that will solve all of our problems.
Emerging transport technologies, they really don't actually come into our everyday lives in the way that's anticipated. The first step is to rethink future transport by putting people first and putting ethics first.
As cars become less and less viable as a means of moving around the urban environment, public transport can respond to that with what I suspect would be more seamless integration between different types of modalities. The world is a very large population, 7.7 billion people. Over half live in cities. How are they going to get about?
The pandemic has raised all kinds of questions about our transport system moving forward. We're not used to seeing empty roads. We're not used to seeing so many people on bicycles. We're not used to seeing empty trains. And it's given us a chance maybe to pause, take a deep breath, and rethink what we do moving forward.
It's allowed us to reflect on various issues, not least of which, of course, the amount of pollution that's given up by the transport sector, and also this fact of working from home. I think the idea that we can keep social distancing forever and ever is going to be too challenging.
People are worried about getting back on aeroplanes, sitting in close proximity to many other people. They're worried about flying in particular before there is a vaccine available and that's been widely disseminated. People are worried because of the economic cost of traveling. Many people have lost their job or lost a lot of their income. The damage done to the airline industry is huge. We've seen airlines go bankrupt or into voluntary administration. The reduction in flying may well extend into the long term because people are now more used to doing interactions on online platforms. People are increasingly concerned about global warming. These jumbos and super jumbos have 4 engines. They're very thirsty. We're going to see a move towards using more biodegradable fuel, more fuel-efficient aircraft.
Sustainability should underpin all design, but there's some very specific questions around any kind of digital and emerging technology. We need to think about not just what they're going to be saving us in terms of energy and environment, but also about the new requirements. What about the data that they need to have stored?
There are going to be huge issues about data management, about the security, cybersecurity. It's very easy now to break into the car control system, through just the stereo system. And people build software and then they think, but how do we make them safe? And you have to actually build the safety into the software as you're designing it. Something that is not done in practice yet. The more automated things are, the easier it is for some sort of terrorism to have a major effect as well. When you've got automated vehicles all over the country, that is a huge vulnerability.
Driverless cars and autonomous vehicles, they were the flavor of the month for a couple years. They were that shiny new thing, that hope for a solution to so many transport problems. But I think they've hit the peak of their hype cycle, and there's a bit more realism and understanding of the problems with automation.
I think the dilemma will be that the nuances that human beings have in terms of understanding the road in front of them and the ability of the autonomous vehicle to have the same levels of skill and understanding, it demonstrates that we've still got a long way to go as far as autonomous cars are concerned.
Driverless car is artificial intelligence, so it requires training. So the more diversity we'll bring in the training phase, the better the intelligence it will gain. It takes a long time, and we'll be learning by doing mistakes, and we'll be training the driverless car. We have to pay some price for that, definitely. It will bring enormous benefit, I would say. We will have aging population. After a certain age, we would not be able to drive. Our licenses will be seized. But having our independence in life in current circumstances, we would be able to maintain that sort of independence when the driverless car will come. There is a discussion that the number of accidents will be reduced significantly, especially those accidents that are related to human error. And it is said that about 90 to 95% accidents happen due to human error.
I collaborate with the Swedish university, Halmstad University, and Volvo Cars. And together we've developed projects looking at the future of self-driving cars, how people experience driving in them, and what people's hopes and expectations are for them for the future. I think one of the key questions about self-driving cars is how and when they will be able to be used anywhere in the world in any situation.
Our roads are not yet ready because there are signs that are inconsistent between places. For example, road marking, exit, or entry sign. The road lines sometimes is white, other places it's yellow.
If you've got everybody in individual driverless cars, you could end up with more cars on the road than we've got now.
Congestion is one of the most wicked problems in the transport system because congestion is a symptom of the demand for getting to where you want to go. And unless you can reduce that demand or switch it to more efficient modes like trains and buses and trams, it's always going to be there.
Well, the aim of the Mobility Design Lab is to address mobility issues through the lens of design. So that means we are concerned with that interface between passengers and patrons and transport infrastructure. So the design of vehicles, the design of infrastructure, stations, everything around transport that people interface with.
We've got to have a much more sophisticated travel planning system than we've got available now. But that's really a huge opportunity to make things easier in terms of congestion and to save a lot of time and a lot of money for a lot of people. It's personalized public transport. So personalized in the sense that every trip can be planned, but the aim is to have every journey done as efficiently as possible in collaboration with all the other trips that are going on in the city.
I also think we're probably less likely to think of public transport in terms of being, oh, I take a tram, or oh, I take a train. I think it'll be a point A to point B. The whole journey will be captured. We'll use digital platforms, which will enable us to plan, pay, work out interchanges in a much more seamless and holistic manner.
That integration of all the different mechanisms, right? I want to walk here, I want to actually share a car here, which will take me to a station there, which will take me on. That's a really novel requirement, and nobody's really tackled that before. We've been just working on scalability of current kind of algorithms, so to be able to look at routing not 100 people or 1,000 people, but 100,000 people.
So you have money, you just choose, I would like to go to visit Great Ocean Road, give us different options. So maybe there will be helicopter, maybe there will be flying taxis coming to you.
Ever since dreams of flying cars and rocket packs, people have fantasized about turning our skies into roads. But is that really something we want?
It makes me concerned because we don't have the control over the congestion in the air. There's a whole lot of energy issues around that. There's a whole lot of safety issues around that.
So it's very interesting to think about travel on Earth in terms of sort of having some sort of progress over the centuries, and then link that to space travel, which we have been complaining for the last 50 years that nothing happened much. When you look down on Earth, actually, not much happened either. We don't have space cars, we don't have flying cars. It comes down with what are we prepared to invest in? What is the worth of having more advanced transportation? And it all comes down to jobs as well, I think, because sometimes industry knowing needs to change, but it just requires too much investment for upgrade and for reskilling and things like that. So SpaceX managed to do what we dreamed for a very long time, and that's to have reusable rockets. So in that respect, SpaceX have, I think, boosted a lot of confidence that space travel is not something that's going to happen in the 22nd century now. If people put sustainable funding and it keeps going, it can happen in the next 20 years.
There's talk about rocket-style flying between Melbourne and London. But on the other hand, supersonic flying is not sustainable. It's going to be very expensive. There's concern about carbon emissions.
All the rockets that we have at the moment use chemical fuel. That's the problem with current rockets, that they rely on this volatile fuel source. Unfortunately, it's the only one we have that can give us this boost that rockets need at the moment. But if you have a rocket that does a sort of parabolic flight, so the rocket will go up, and then by the way that it goes down, it will done that kind of giant leap in kilometers. This is what SpaceX have promised us, and I'm holding them to it. So they said something like half an hour between New York and London, which is now 8 hours. This is going to be a game changer.
The future of travel, I would say, is very exciting. So there will be a lot of changes. We will have driverless car, flying taxis. Those are exciting changes coming to our life. But at the same time, they will bring some disadvantages. So our management system, our technology, our expert system needs to be proactive to accommodate those changes so that it does not bring bad things to us, but we can enjoy the benefits that they will bring to us.